Hey, you got Crave here, and if you haven't seen the cinematic that focuses on Varok and Zappy, please go ahead and watch that, then you can come back once you're done. But let's do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Wow, that was an amazing cinematic. So this video is going to be short as I just wanted to go over what Blizz showed us. Now first off, that was an oddly timed cinematic from my perception, but just right given that the battle for Lordaeron happens next week. I'm saying the timing is weird because we just had the recent Sylvanas short and that was quite the controversial short. While the recent Warbringer short was great from, I would say, an artistic perspective, by itself it was very much lacking in many other aspects. This full-on cinematic of Saurfang and Zekhan covered one of the aspects that was missing. Basically, how Saurfang could just stand there as a city full of innocents and non-combatants were either being roasted alive or being choked to death. Partially, it feels like the cinematic was damage control, but that wouldn't have made sense since the cinematics of this sort take a very long time to complete, and that's what I understand. Given the small amount of time since the second Warbringer sequence, this argument just isn't possible. What makes a bit of sense is the timing being convenient. With the backlash from some of the Horde player base, this certainly helps. I do in a sense feel better now for the Horde. Saurfang represents in a way how war should quote-unquote ideally be handled. Varok is a representation of the opposition to Sylvanas. Games are games, but let's imagine I'd let it get to me, and if I were just to let my emotions run freely and forget that this is a game, I would fully detest what happened to the World Tree. As someone who has Alliance characters, well, for obvious reasons, and also having Horde characters for reasons related to honor and mercy. The Banshee Queen in War of Thorns, where she says the Alliance would be after her or the Horde and then my character. That made me just want to Garrote cheap shot her all the way to a forced poison bomb proc. But World of Warcraft is an MMO, and MMOs don't really offer a whole lot of choices. In fact, they rarely do. You go for games like The Witcher or the original BioWare games for that. The second thing about the cinematic is that it explains many things in the upcoming battle for Lordaeron. Had Varok's cinematic not been released recently, then the events for next week, the one around Saurfang, it wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense. I mentioned in my last upload that you should expect Sylvanas to be more of herself in next week's reset, and that will still probably hold true. What is also noticeable here is how Saurfang behaves. If you thought that he appeared too depressed recently, wait till what happens in your playthrough on either faction after the upcoming weekly reset. I can actually, in a sense, empathize with how his character has been built up. A little too much, admittingly, but not as bad as forum posters would claim him to be. He has lived a very long life, a life filled with wars and bloodshed, enslavement by the Legion, killing innocents and children, and the loss of his family. Saurfang represents a changed Horde though. They still fight like bloodthirsty war machines when they're on the field, but they're the kind of Horde who has gone through so much and seeks redemption from what they suffered through the Burning Legion. Saurfang or Varok represents a Horde that would like to be distanced from the horrors they committed during previous wars. It is a Horde that understands, or at least Varok's Horde understands, that there will always be a war to fight, but they must never forsake honor no matter how dire the battle. I wonder if Saurfang will break, or if his spirit gets crushed completely. He almost did in his own full-on cinematic. You saw him marching towards the Alliance, hoping to maybe cleave a few heads and die himself. It is the glorious death that most orcs want. But that would be terrible for the Horde. So far though, we'll just have to wait as the battle for Azeroth unfolds. Thanks for watching, guys.